Got another guest on Academy FM. A very good morning to Sarah Shepherd, who is from SLS Wills. We're talking wills now. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
No, it's actually afternoon, sorry. It's 11 minutes past 12. Very good afternoon to you. Now, wills. Why should we make a will?
Why not?
Good question. Good answer.
Yeah, everybody should make a will over the age of 18. You've got assets to leave, cash, cars, household goods. Even children should be left to somebody. It's quite important to bear that in mind, because there's no guarantee that family members will be able to look after your children if you've not appointed guardians if something happens to you. And to be honest, you could risk them ending up going to somebody totally unsuitable or ending up in care.
Right, okay. Now, you're an estate planning consultant.
Yeah.
What is an estate planning consultant?
It's someone who specialises in all aspects of making wills and lasting powers of attorney to ensure that a person is looked after when they lack capacity under an LPA, and that their estate passes to the people that they wish to benefit once they pass away.
Right.
As part of this process, we consider inheritance tax implications, as well as whether it is important to consider setting up lifetime trusts, as well as consider putting in place funeral plans.
Right, okay. So, it is one of those things, though, isn't it, that, none of us want to die.
No.
And it is that thing that, I make a will, oh, really? I know I'm going to die.
No.
And it's that feeling, though. So, you say anyone from the age of 18... What would you advise someone that who should really make a will, and when you should really make that will?
Really, you should consider making a will as soon as you've got something to leave someone. A child or a house or bank accounts or cars or anything like that. You really should consider it. And just because you've made it doesn't mean to say that is your last will.
Right.
Because it will only be your last will when you die.
Right. So you can change the will at any time?
Any time. And we do recommend regular updates and reviews every 3 to 5 years.
So what circumstances would you say that you would want to change your will?
If you get married, you will definitely need to make a new will, because marriage will automatically overwrite any previous will.
Yes.
So that's very important. If you get divorced, it doesn't revoke your will, but it can have complications if you've not remade your will.
Right.
Birth of children, inheriting funds would be a good point, as well as any significant changes throughout your life.
Right, okay, so it's something you've got to keep your eye on to what's actually happening with your life.
Yes.
And then would you come back to someone like yourself?
I'd recommend it.
Yes.
I mean, you don't have to come back to me, but I hope you will.
Yes. Well, I suppose if you start the wheel off, then it makes sense, doesn't it, that you actually continue that process with the person you've actually done the will with?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you talked about lasting power of attorney. What is it?
Well, it's a document that you put in place to appoint attorneys to deal with your property and financial affairs and your health and welfare, which are two separate documents, in the event that you lose mental capacity. And it's important that these are done before you get a diagnosis, because once you start to lose capacity, it may be too late.
Right.
And in those circumstances, you may find that the only option is an application to the Court of Protection.
Right, okay. So, if you're in a situation where you do think that, you are in a situation that you need that support, how do you actually select the person that's going to be your power attorney?
It's got to be somebody you trust. And I would recommend actually having 2 people appointed, because you never know, one attorney might themselves become ill or might go away for a long period of time, and you could be left with nobody around to help you. So it's always best to have 2, but it's got to be somebody you trust to look after you.
Would you recommend that it is a family member?
It depends. You may not feel that you would want your family members involved in dealing with your finances or looking after your health and welfare. So it really does depend on what your situation is.
It's obviously a very difficult situation, because to know when to actually do that, would that be something that, perhaps a doctor would advise the patient that if things are like that, would the doctor get involved in this type of thing?
Doctors can get involved. They do tend to recommend people to make them if they haven't already done so. Right. But it's certainly something I would bring up when I'm talking about wills with clients.
Yes, yeah. Okay, we'll play a piece of music and we'll come back to Sarah and find out a bit more. It is Sarah Shepherd from SLS Wills. We're back with Sarah. Now, Sarah, funeral plans. A lot of you see these advertised everywhere. Now, this is something that you get involved in. We were just talking off air, actually. There was, I won't name the company, but there was a company last week that was taking quite a lot of flack, actually, regarding funeral plans. People have been paying into it for years, and then suddenly someone dies, the family go to the funeral plan, and it's not covering the funeral. Obviously, that's a big concern, but tell us about the funeral plans that you actually deal with.
Yes, I offer plans by Golden Leaves and the Cooperative Group, so they are actually specifically for the funeral industry, and they are linked to their undertaking services. They're both backed by the Funeral Planning Authority and are market leaders in their field. They are specifically allow you to arrange your funeral yourself.
Good.
You pay for it at today's prices, where in 10 to 15 years prices are expected to double, but you are guaranteed that they will cover the cost of your funeral.
That's good, because these other policies weren't. The people were just paying in a monthly payment, and I know they were saying that it got to the time someone had passed away, and there was another £3,000 or £4,000 that the family had to pay.
Yeah, because they are regarded as more of a life assurance rather than an actual funeral plan.
Yes, but this is actual funeral plan, so what you pay for is what you get, basically, regardless of when you die.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's excellent, that's good. And obviously that's something you do through your business as well. Right, okay. Now, what makes you different from, say, a solicitor, the role that you actually do?
Well, I've worked in the industry for over 30 years, firstly within one of the big banks in their investment department, and then since 2001 I've worked in solicitors and accountants' offices, gaining lots of skills along the way, I might add. But as an independent estate planning consultant, I can be flexible to arrange my appointments to suit my clients. Right. That includes evenings and weekends by arrangement, particularly if a weekday appointment can't be arranged. I also see clients in their own home. I do not have an office. I come to you, and that makes people feel a lot more calm about what they're doing.
It's not an easy thing to talk about, is it?
No. Oh. It's about what makes the person feel more comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. And obviously in their own environment, etc. So, I can understand that. That's obviously a much nicer way to actually discuss something like this, because none of us want to really say, oh, this is what I want for my funeral, because most of us don't actually think about that, do we?
No, exactly, we don't.
That's good. So that personal service is there.
Yes, it is a very bespoke service for my clients.
Excellent. So you're adapt to what the client needs, actually. That's excellent. So where can people actually contact you?
Okay, I can be contacted on 01304 577 998, which is my office.
Right.
My mobile number is 07951 736 021. I have a website, slswillsandmore.co.uk, and you can contact me through that. Or my email is sarah@slswillsandmore.co.uk.
That's excellent. So if you didn't catch any of that, please get back in contact with us and we can give you that information. Sarah, it is a very delicate subject. You've explained it extremely well. None of us actually want to, think about what's going to happen to us and when it's going to happen, but it can happen at any time, can't it?
Unfortunately, yes, it can. And unfortunately, it's one of the only things you can guarantee will happen at some point.
Absolutely. So do it today rather than leave it to such a time. Because the consequences are, if you don't have a will,
the law will dictate where your estate will go. And if you haven't got any immediate family, it could end up going to relatives that you have no knowledge of, or even going to the state.
Right, so that's a very, very good reason to get that will done now,
yes,
isn't it? Okay, definitely. Thank you very much, Sarah. Sarah Shepherd from SLS Wills. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.